Welcome to Bring Out Your Badass Self, a movement to break your negative thoughts and habits and instead focus on building each other up and encouraging fearless authenticity.
Each week, we will get vulnerable and share experiences alongside our guests and audience. Come rediscover your inner badass self.
Good morning, badass. How are
good
you?
Morning. How are you doing?
I am doing well.
Oh,
I'm a little bummed that we had to switch last moments with poor Mr. Buzz is not feeling up to snuff.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so, but it's all about wishing him well and want him to have a good episode once he comes back. And so, but today we're going to be shooting the shit. And so we got some fun stuff planned last minute.
Yeah.
But we had a fun week and we had some weird things happen. So we're going to actually just talk about that.
Yeah. And we, these things happen and we, have learned to roll with it. So
that's right.
And this will just build some more anticipation for Buzz's future stories or future episodes. So
that's right. Well, we
wish him well.
We do. And we like to fly by the seat of our pants, or we can very easily. And so it looks like we have some people joining us already. So just let us know that you're here. And I did see that we had some new people signing up. So maybe they will say hello and let us know that they're here. And so Myra has joined. She said, "Good morning, ladies." And so she's coming from Facebook.
Good morning, Myra.
Good morning.
Great to see you here.
Yeah. And if you are new to our show, then just give us a heart. So like a white heart or a purple heart or whatever type of heart that you might want to give, just to let us know that you are new. We also have Eric joining us. Good badass morning.
Oh, good badass morning, Eric. So great to see you.
It is. And so I'm looking forward, even though, we have to switch gears. I really think this is going to be a fun show today.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be great. We always have a good time when we are shooting the shit. Oh, Tia. Hi, Tia. That's my aunt.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. So she's downstairs. Good morning, Tia. I love you.
Aw. Well, and just so you guys know, you'll notice this says Facebook user. So if you wanted to see your name, you do need to go to, I think it's streamyard.com/Facebook. And then it'll give permission for us to see your name. And I think there's a similar process for YouTube and LinkedIn as well.
Don't worry, Tia. I'll help you later. She's often she has an iPhone now and she's not used to it, so we are giving her tips as best we can. I've been trying to get my kids to I'm like, you know what, guys, Tia could use some help, and they're like, you could help her, and I'm like, I can only get her so far. Like, I'm almost 50. You have to help her. And they were like, you are not almost 50. You are 44 years old. And you know technology very well. I'm like, well, I just thought it would be nice.
And you said kids. I thought you said for a minute there tits. And I was like, tits?
Different. I mean, tits can do a lot of things. I don't think they can operate cell phones. I'm not positive.
I don't know.
They could, if they're big enough, they can maybe hold one.
I was going to say. Oh my gosh. Well, I see other people joining us, so just let us know that you are here. Say hello. If you're brand new, again, go ahead and just give us a heart and let us know that you are new. And then today we want you to join in the conversation because it's going to be fun. So Cate, I want to talk a little bit first before we get into what we had planned. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what happened last night with me. So
yes,
my husband had a party with his company, and we went to a bar. It's the same place they went to last year, and they have like a little section for us.
This is like their annual holiday party?
Well, not for the company, but for their division, for their group.
Okay.
And so we met at this place, and we had a holiday party for us last weekend. And so I actually had ordered a Miss Santa Claus outfit for something coming up for work that I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be hosting. And so I had ordered that, and it came in the day of our party for our personal party. And my husband was like, well, you got to wear that tonight, like for the personal party. And I was like, okay. So I did. And I dressed up as Mrs. Claus, and it was so cute, and just everybody was making comments. And then one of my neighbors showed up as an elf, and he's like 6'4" or something like that. So here's this tall elf, and I'm 5'4". And so we're like all this difference of an elf and Miss Santa Claus. But then Jay loved my outfit so much. He was like, if we could find a Santa outfit that is about the same quality as yours, I would wear that to our company party. And so I found something, had it shipped. I was like, it says it'll be here the day. So fingers crossed. And that morning it said arrive by 10 p.m. And we were like, we were like, okay. But then it got delivered. And so we were on our account management team yesterday. We're off camera, and I look over and I see him dressed up all in the Santa gear, and he looks so good. And I was like, hang on one second. And I was like, come over here. So I had to put him on camera for everyone to see him in the Santa Claus outfit. But last night we showed up to the party, and there were windows, and everybody was sort of facing, they were talking, but they were sort of facing towards where we enter. And they noticed me first, because they were like, wait a minute, that looks like Sarah. And they were like, no way, that is Jay in the Santa Claus outfit.
They were not expecting it at all.
No. And then they were like, his boss just goes, and then he went, like, what? And so we walk in, and I told Jay, I said, just so you know, I said, you need to be prepared for all of the little kids that will see you. You need to like wave to them and things like that. You need to be prepared that they will get excited. So there was a little girl that was walking by, and she was like, oh my gosh, Santa. And so every time he would go to the bathroom, he'd have to like wave at her and everything. Aww. But we walk in and we're like, Merry Christmas. And everybody was just like, oh my gosh, they're in ugly sweater outfits and everything. And here we just come in as Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus.
Oh, that's adorable. Like, I love it. It's so fun.
It was so much fun.
Way to take it up the next level. And you guys are going to have, now you're going to have 2 opportunities every year to dress up, because you love Halloween so much.
I know.
So now you can like stretch it out. You're going to you're going to have to include Thanksgiving in there. So you guys are going to have to dress up as like pilgrims or turkey or something. So you can just have like 3 months of dressing up.
Well, so I created last year. I created some Thanksgiving shirts. And so I did that. So we do have that for Thanksgiving. But we also, at this Christmas party, as we were there, some people went out and they were like, oh my gosh, the Falcon players are here.
The Atlanta Falcons.
We look like all the defensive line. Like, these guys were just so huge. I was like, oh my gosh. And so we walked out, Jay and I walked out together, and we went to the bathroom. And then as we were coming back, one of the Falcons players, he was like, Merry Christmas. And I was like, Merry Christmas. So I was like playing Miss Santa Claus with them. And then later on, someone was like, I need for Santa and Miss Santa Claus to come take a picture with the Falcons. And so someone took a picture, and they ended up sending it to me, and they were like, sorry, it's like not that great. It's like a little bit of movement and stuff. that. But I was just like, I was laughing. They were like, what's going on? We're like, what's going on? All of a sudden, we're out there taking pictures with the falcons.
That's amazing. When does that ever happen? I love it. Were you guys in Atlanta proper, or were you in a suburb?
We're north of Atlanta.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't think you went all the way into the city, but that's cool that they showed up or that they were there.
Yeah, we were down in Swanee area. Oh, and then as we're heading to I'm driving, so I'm Miss Santa Claus. I'm driving to the place, and Jay's over to the side.
Is he waving?
And so this trucker, he was like, yeah, he's like giving him a thumbs up. Jay rolls down, takes the window down, and he gives him a thumbs up back. And he was like, hey, Merry Christmas. And he's like, Merry Christmas. And he's like, where are you headed? And he was like, we're heading to Swanee. And he was like, where out in Swanee? He's like, I don't know. So he was like, man, I want to follow you to your party.
You look like a good time.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I love it.
Well, we got some more people joining. So Myra's laughing at us. And then, good morning, beautiful badass ladies. This is Kim, and it looks like she got it fixed. She said she went to LinkedIn. Maybe you did make a beautiful badass, Miss Claus. So, and then someone else saying good morning as well. So.
Oh, thank you all. Thanks for being here and interacting. We love that. So speaking of the Santa Clauses, in Milwaukee, Milwaukee, all of Wisconsin, big drinking culture, right? So in Milwaukee, I think Jay's here.
Santa he said Santa says good morning.
Good morning, Santa. You can totally do a spoof on I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. You could totally do a spoof on that. Anyway, so in Milwaukee, there is always a bar crawl. It's actually a bicycle bar crawl. And it's Santas. So everybody dresses up as Santas. So there are like hundreds of Santas biking all over the city, going to different bars. Like so they're just getting drunker and drunker as they go, and they're on bicycles, and everyone in the city just kind of knows this, and we all accept it. So when you see a Santa Claus on a bike, you're like, okay, this is the day they must be doing that. Let's all stay away from the bicycle people because we know they're drunk, and that's literally how the whole city operates. Like we all are like, yep, yeah, this is here, and then like it's hilarious for the kids, like the really little kids, because they're like, oh my God, I just saw 40 Santa Clauses on bikes in the, and a lot of times there's snow on the ground, like it's really funny. And so I have all sorts of memories of, littles seeing that, and, it's just, it cracks me up, especially as they're like hooting and hollering and honking, and like, honking horns on their bikes. And it's just, it's an incredible display.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I can't imagine seeing that many, especially if they're drunk. Santa Clauses.
Yes. Yeah. I'll try to find some pictures and post them in our comments, but gosh. It's hilarious. And it's totally just a thing. And it's really funny to see them come out of bars, so like if you're driving down, and you just see like a Santa Claus stumbling out, and then another Santa Claus stumbling out, because they're all drunk and they're like, getting out. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
It's Wisconsin for you.
Oh my gosh. So, well, I have something, if I can share up. I'm going to try to, let's see whether this
set this. Are we doing the texts?
No, I was going to try.
So set the stage for those.
Yeah, a window. Oh, I don't know if I can do it. I was trying to do an image, but I can't find it. So I was trying to share the screen. So I had a picture that I was going to add, but I'll have to work on that. And so, but I was going to share a picture of Jay and me as Mrs. Santa Claus, but I didn't have it uploaded. So, so I'll work on that and get that out there. So,
yeah, you can always post it after too.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone said they would have loved to have seen Santa and Mrs. Claus, and then
maybe that means hello.
Hello, maybe. We'll go with that. Hello, beautiful badasses.
Whole back to you.
Maybe they meant hello ho.
Oh yeah.
Well, so this week I had hola. They said hola. That's what they're trying to say.
Hola.
Hola. And so this week I had a funny thing happen to me. I had a scammer reach out to me, and I immediately knew that the person was a scammer just because
based on the text.
Yeah, based on the text. One, the person that messaged me, and they said they were, I already text with. Like, I already have an established text message with them. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm pretty sure this person probably didn't change their number. And also the way that they message Sarah Ganella, hi, Sarah Ganella, Wes Renfro. And it's someone that I work with. And I took an immediate screenshot and sent it to Wes. And I said, I'm assuming this isn't you. And he was like, no. And then he started like giving me some ideas of things to say. And I was like, oh man, I'm like, I'm going to have fun with this.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So,
yes. And my brother also does this on a regular basis and sends me screenshots through. And I have done this as well. So it's not just him, but we've also done this. Or like if you're in a chat conversation, sometimes it's like you can tell it's a bot. And so then you can kind of say things. And like, so I've done that too, because that is also hilarious to me. And then, we've screenshot them. And so I will read you one when we are done with this. That he did is much smaller than yours.
Okay.
This is too good. She had, so to set the stage for our viewers, she shared this to the whole company. I mean, we were all dying. This was hilarious, and it went on for so long, and it was so good. So.
And I mean, it is literally 8 screenshots. That's how long the conversation went on for. And so it was nonstop. And I wasn't messaging him the whole day. Like I had work I had to do. So I would stop. And so I'd say something about that, like that 30-minute meeting went over, something like that. And so he was trying to get me to buy this Apple gift card the entire time. And but the immediate thing that we started with, and so I'm going to go ahead and share this up so you guys can see this. This is the first 4 text messages. And Cate and I had thought about going back and forth and doing like a reading of this, but we were like, no, it's actually more fun just to sort of talk about it. And so the first one that I want, let me go back. Is that slide 1? Yes. And so you'll notice right here, the first thing that I said was a suggestion by Wes. First, I was like, what do you need? And he's like, can't talk now. I've got, I'm excellent with text if that works. And I'm like, okay. And so Wes told me, he's like, ask him if the gonorrhea was cleared up. So. So it was the first thing that I did. I was like, by the way, were you able to clear up your gonorrhea? He doesn't
acknowledge. No acknowledgement of that whatsoever.
So
that's
this presentation that he did, like he's contacting someone that's overseeing marketing and sales. And so I started with like, did you get it approved? What logos are you using? Oh my gosh. And so, did you run that presentation by marketing? And then he's like, gets a little snippy, can you listen to me? I said, I have a limited time. Don't keep asking me unnecessary questions. And so I just threw in there. I was like, dude, you report to me. I can ask any questions I want. Oh my gosh. No, Wes doesn't report to me, but I'm just like playing a part.
Well, yeah, if he was doing a presentation, I mean, that in our company, that would only happen with someone really reporting to you, most likely.
Well, Wes would not do a presentation first.
And Wes would never do a presentation, right? Because he does not report to you and he's in a totally different world.
Wes would be like, please don't make me do the presentation, Oh gosh.
Oh, right.
And I'm like asking him, like, what are they for? You didn't get approval from that I can see. Answer my questions. None of this was reviewed or approved. And he starts to get to, you always know when they say kindly, it's a scammer, even more so.
Because no one ever says that. Kindly get me what I asked you. I will reimburse you immediately. No one says that.
So we're like, he's like, I said, who did you get? So he answers one of my questions finally. He's like, yeah, I got approval from marketing. I'm like, who? And he's like, why? And I'm like, what do you mean, why? I oversee the department.
This isn't on their list.
And then he backs up. He's like, I'm sorry. I understand. I'm sorry. I just need this urgently. Kindly, please help me out. And then I'm like starting to blow him off. I have a meeting in 10. I can't help you. He's like, you can do this in 5 minutes. And I said, then I start asking him unnecessary questions again. Did you wear the black or the red, logoed shirt? And what client are you seeing? He's like, don't waste much time. And I'm like, well, I got to get prepped. Ask your wife. So I'm starting to go down a different path with ask your wife. And so this whole time he's like, are you still there? Because I had a real meeting. And I was like, this meeting ran over 30 minutes. Unfortunately, my son's bus, that's not true, but still isn't here. And I have to run him to school. So now I'm just making up stuff. And so he's like, I said, so when are you going to tell your wife? He's like, I don't want to ask her. I want you. And I'm like, you want her? You want me to tell her about us? And then it just goes down a completely different route. So then it's like, no. And then he goes back to I have a presentation in a few. Here it's like an hour later, and he still has a presentation in a few.
Very, very urgent. Yes.
And so I said, I get the feeling you just want me for what I can give you. I think I will reach out to your wife and let her know I plan to go after you for child support because I'm pregnant. Oh my gosh.
And he goes, can you do this or not? I want you to do this. No acknowledgement whatsoever.
Nothing about, he doesn't acknowledge the gonorrhea. He doesn't acknowledge that I'm pregnant, anything like that. And I'm like, you're always asking me for more. When do you give to me? And he's like, I promise. Basically, I'm going to reward you. Oh my gosh. And I'm just like, I don't believe you. But you can prove it to by meeting me for breakfast or lunch. I'll get it on my way. And so then he gives me suggestions where I might get this gift card. And then we're just going back and forth about meeting, where we're meeting, when we're meeting, things like that. And then I finally just was like, okay, I need to go freshen up. And then he says, okay.
This is one of my favorite parts.
Then I start switching it on him. Like, I'm doing the male thing. What are you wearing?
And I think he tried to say, guess what? But he said, guess
that. I think it was guess that.
Yeah. Yeah. And better yet, send me a picture. And then he tells you to go freshen up, which was one of my favorite parts, because go freshen up.
Go freshen up.
Because you had said, I need to freshen up.
And then he says, and then I'm like, oh, but send me a picture to entice me more. Oh my gosh. And he's like, I'm not allowed here. Please go freshen up. And I'm like, you can just go into the bathroom, snap a quick one for me. He's like, you should go freshen up.
How many times can someone tell someone to freshen up? Like, I have never, I mean, even if someone said to me, I need to freshen up, I wouldn't say, how did how did you freshen up? Or you should freshen up. Like, it's just absurd.
Oh my gosh. So then I don't respond because I'm having to work. So
yes,
right. I do like a little bit and then I like put them on hold, don't do anything. And I'm like, change of plans. I just got off the phone and have a huge emergency with Mike. I don't know who Mike is. He's like, then you help me.
And then you stop for a long time
again. For a while because I'm in back-to-back meetings. So I said, right. I'm in back-to-back calls today. Will I see you on the call at 1 p.m.? Wes isn't on a call, but I'm on a call at 1 p.m. So I'm just gonna like freak him out. And he was like, how many minutes will it take you to get to the store? This is one of my favorite parts. I'm like, I don't drive while I'm in a meeting, silly goose. And he's like, huh?
Silly goose, baby daddy.
Oh my gosh. And I said, I thought you would be on this call. Where are you? He's like, where are you? I said, I'm on the Zoom call. I said, why are you on it? And then nothing since then.
He's like, okay. That was the end, apparently. That was the last straw for him. It wasn't at the gonorrhea or the pregnancy. Yeah. Or asking him what he was wearing or sending a picture. None of that. When you finally called him up for not showing up to the 1 o'clock, he was like, I'm done.
I'm done. I don't like anybody calling me a silly goose.
You silly goose.
Oh my gosh. So we thought we would share this because it was funny this week for us. We just loved. I also posted it on Facebook and everybody was like, oh my gosh. I had one person, they were like, I woke up at 4 o'clock and I found your entertaining text message string and it helped me laugh. As I was dealing with not sleeping.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I'm so glad you did it. And we all got into it and it was very funny. We were making all sorts of ridiculous suggestions. And that's
how I got the pregnant one. I started posting it and then I would update it and I would be like, okay, here's what I've said so far. Anybody have any other suggestions? And my Aunt Anne said, tell him you're pregnant. I was like, I like that.
Yeah, right. Totally. It's always good.
Did not react to any of those things though.
So that is what that is similar to what Tony does, my brother, when he interacts a lot of the times. He just makes up a really ridiculous story. So, and sometimes it's with a wrong number or, really anyone that he doesn't know, it doesn't matter. He will interact. So,
by the way, real quick, I wanted you to know that someone agreed with me that you probably did say tits. Maybe
I did. I mean, tits are frequently on my mind. I have tits. I'm into tits. Like it's a big thing around here. So I very well could have. Because fine. It could have been like one of those Freudian slips. Okay. So someone had reached out to Tony, a wrong number, saying, can you make it? And Tony responded, sorry, I can't make it. I'm checking myself into the psychiatric ward. It was another rough Friday. Okay. So, then he said, then the person responded and said, sorry, I think I entered the wrong number. I hope it didn't cause you any trouble. Right. And then Tony's response was a thumbs up and said, "No more trouble than last night." And then the person responded again. So like this, he said, "Did the stranger said, did you have any trouble last night?" And Tony's response was, "Well, after the first bottle of bourbon, I found out my wife is actually my cousin. Things just spiraled from there." And that was the end of the conversation.
He's like, "I'm out."
Yeah. Things just spiraled from there.
Oh my God.
I know. It's so entertaining.
You wish you knew, like in those situations, like, who is this person? What is going on in their head as I respond?
Yes. And it's so much better than you could do like in the old days when you got a wrong number, like a phone call. Like you couldn't think that fast or be that clever then, right? And I also love the aspect of like, if it is a real person, or like, I like the aspect of like hopefully giving them a little bit of joy or just a really great story, right? They have a really great story now to tell someone.
Yeah.
Listen, I accidentally text the wrong guy and listen to the shit he said. Like that's a great story. And it's a great story for Tony. And now spreading a little bit of joy.
That's awesome. It reminded me of, I accidentally called someone the other day. And so for my husband's line, I put in a fake number when we were doing demos. I put in a number similar to mine. It was 678-777, but it was like 7777. Okay. And so like I just continued with the sevens, and that's not anything close to my husband's number. Well, the other day, whenever I was needing to call him, I pressed info and I said call. And the guy that answered, I was like, okay, this is not Jay. Like I immediately knew. I was like, hi. I go, is Jay there? And he was like, no, there's no Jay here. I was like I'm thinking, I've called my husband's number. Like, who is this guy?
Right.
And I said, okay. I said, that's odd. And I said, because this is my husband's number. And he was like, well, that's weird because this is my number.
And I don't think I'm your husband.
And he goes, well, what number are you dialing? Or, what number is his? And so I told him my husband's number, and he was like, well, I'm all sevens. And I go, oh my gosh. I'm like, I am so sorry. I said, I put in your number as a fake number because I'm in technology. And I said, and it downloaded to my phone from our system, from the Vantage Point system whenever I was doing the Outlook stuff. And I was like, I am so sorry. And he was like, that's okay. Happy holidays. And I was like, thank you. Happy holidays to you. Have a great day.
Yeah.
But it was a super nice guy. So like, don't start calling him. I just gave out his phone number, but
please don't call him. Really
but he
nice
was super
guy.
Nice. And I was just telling Jay, I said, I might just call him up every once in a while. Hey, second husband.
How's it going? Yeah. What have you not? How were the holidays?
How were the holidays?
Yeah. You told me to have happy holidays. So I was just calling to let you know how my holidays were.
Exactly. I did something similar with Riley. Riley keeps getting these messages for Walter, and Walter's supposed to be doing something for work. And he has this spreadsheet of a budget that he has, and I ended up taking her phone and like messing with the guy. And he was like, this budget doesn't work. Like the numbers are not working out. I can't remember exactly what it was. And I was like, okay, I've reduced it down to 10,000. And he was like, what? And I'm just like screwing with him and everything. And finally he was like, this is not Walter. And I'm like, yes, this is Walter. And I'm like, I've gone ahead and taken care of it. But they still message him. And my daughter's like, I just wish Walter's coworkers would stop texting me.
That's hilarious. Oh, what a good name too, Walter. And
Walter.
picturing, someone much older than Riley.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she gets stuff and she's just like, I am not this person. And I have another person. I have someone from California. Her name's Nancy. And she is hooking up with like people left and right, let me tell you. Because I get these messages all the time. Hey, Nancy, it's so and so. It was great seeing you last night, things like that. And I'm like, this is not Nancy's number. And they're like, oh, I must have mistyped it. And I'm like, nope, because everyone messages Nancy at this number.
So it's Nancy's fake number that she purposely gives away.
Yep, she's given my number away. I get text messages. I even got a picture of a beautiful Asian woman, and she's like, "Hey, I'm sending me a picture of herself," and I'm just like, "Hey, I'm sorry to tell you, this is not Nancy." And so Nancy likes both men and females, so I'm like getting it from both ends whenever people message for Nancy.
What you don't, this day and age, you don't have to choose, Nancy. You can do it all if you want to.
Well, just give them a real number. Quit giving them my fake number.
I think there's women that do that, right? They always have a fake number that they give out, and so that must be it. It's
mine's
funny
convenient.
It's funny that she chose an Atlanta, Georgia number, than California number.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I don't know what it is. And for whatever reason, I haven't entertained that just because I'm also a little suspect of it. I don't know whether it's truly Nancy or if it's like some type of hackers or, scammers trying to start a conversation. And so I immediately just shut these down just because I don't know. There's something about it that I'm like, I shouldn't go there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I've thought about when you get, the big random group texts or something, it's very funny how much garbage we get on our phones now. It's just they're almost as bad as your emails.
It's ridiculous. On my daughter's phone, she'll look and she'll have almost 1,000 text messages. And I'm like, what the hell? They will just send a letter, enter, a letter, enter, a letter, enter. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I would be blocking the crap. That is just ridiculous. The things that they just emojicon,
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous the number of text messages she gets in these group chats, multiple group chats on top of that.
Yeah, totally. I feel like sometimes, and maybe, but newer phone numbers get hit a little more often than older ones, because I've had that with my kids too, not my tits, but my kids. I've with their phone numbers, maybe someone had that number right before, my phone number I've had for, 20 years or whatever. It was forever,
Yeah.
But I feel like the newer phone numbers can get that.
Absolutely.
A little bit. So.
Yeah. I've had mine since 1997.
Yeah. Mine's almost that. Early 2000s. I did not have a phone in 1997. I did not get a phone until 2003. I really held out. Yep. I was very anti cell phone. I was I was a cold caller still, or I was just started doing cold calling in college. And I was like, there's no way that I want to call someone when they're on their way, somewhere else, or when they're out and about. And I certainly don't want anyone reaching me. I don't want to be when I'm not on the phone, I want to not be on the phone,
Yeah.
So I held out for a while before it was just kind of ridiculous. When everyone around me had a phone, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll do this, but can you imagine now, if somebody was just I'm not going to have a phone?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you have some people that still have a BlackBerry, still have a flip phone, you know, and now they maybe have upgraded to like the next version, but I still have my old flip phone. So I had a flip phone back in 1997. It was the first cell phone I ever got. And it was whenever I moved to Atlanta that I was like, okay, I'm in a big city. I need to have a cell phone because, you know, in a small town, it's like, you know, everybody, hey, can you help? You know, can I get a phone? You know, but in Atlanta, you are basically stranded because you can't guarantee you'll get to a phone. And so I ended up getting a cell phone as I moved here. And it was I got to pick my number. They were like, here you go. What number would you like? And I was like, I would like that one because it's super easy.
The 7. Yeah, exactly. You have a great phone number.
I know. And so it's just, I love the fact that it's the same phone number. Nancy, can you stop giving people your number?
That'd be great.
Sometimes I just, you know, I continuously, I love the spam blocker stuff that they have on it now because I'm like, spam, spam. Like I'm constantly seeing that. But I also have random numbers that will call me just because of business. And I have not had a landline since probably soon after 1997 because I remember being one of the first people like, this is just going to be my number. Like if people want to get a hold of me, I don't need a landline.
Right. They can just call me. What's the point?
You still have a landline.
I do because I have a custom phone system that my IT guy created for me, David Kaczynski at Gecko Networks. And so I'd say maybe about 5 or maybe even longer. He created a way that we can dial in to that same phone system through our cell phones. So I don't really need to have it anymore, but it's like almost nostalgic for me. I also, I also find it much easier to train people when I'm using this phone. So, so if I'm having someone shadow me, it's so much easier for me because it's more of an office phone than a landline, but it's a landline office phone. So but I can, transfer, I can conference, I can do the different things that you can do on an office phone. So I find that to be lovely. But
I'm curious with our audience, when did you get your cell phone? Was it
what year?
Around that time frame? For me, it was once I was going to college is when I was out of college to get a cell phone. Now, you think about all the kids, want a cell phone and you get them probably rather early. It used to be you didn't get it till high school. Then all of a sudden it was like, more middle school. Now sometimes you're giving it to them during elementary, like the end part of elementary. Yeah. So I'm just curious with people, when did you get your cell phone? And then also, do you have any funny stories of people that have called you? And I gotta tell you, Cate, I got the idea. I was listening to someone that had the same type of person messaging them about getting an Apple Card. And he took it so much further. And I was reading it to my husband and my daughter a month prior. And he was like, my brother's going through an exorcism. And he goes through this whole thing. And the guy was also asking him to take photos. So so he took a picture of his brother. His brother's looking all crazy and stuff like that. And he's like, okay, I'm in the Walmart. And he's like, take a picture. So he takes a picture and he's in the Walmart. He gets the Apple gift card. He's like, show me, that you've done it. He's like, I'm driving right now. And, and all of these things, but he takes a picture, sends them that he's in his car. He's like, hang on. He's like, I'm at a stoplight and my brother just jumped out of the car. I'm trying to get him to the priest for the exorcism, and to do all of these things. And so he ends up, he's like, I'm sorry, dude, I had to give the priest the card because I didn't have any money. So I had to pay him for the exorcism.
Oh my God.
It was a whole long thing. It was hilarious.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it. What a great way to interact with somebody that's literally just trying to scam you or waste your time.
So Kim said college, she had a big bag phone. I remember my dad had one of
Yes.
those.
My dad, and the funny thing about my dad had a cell phone before I was in, I'm gauging on the house. He had one in the early 90s because, I moved to a house in 94 and he had one before then. He had it in his car. It was
Yes.
first a bag. Then it was like,
It was
like
a what? A bag? A bag?
it was first in a bag. Yeah. He had the bag phone, and then he had a phone that had a cord connected like in the car, right?
Yeah.
So we grew up with it, but we were like, that's because dad has a business and he has to like, do that. Like it's not for any of us. Like it just didn't occur to us that we would all be having them one day.
Yep. I'm going to skip to this one and then I'll come back. But they said, remember the phones we had to plug into the car lighter to work? They were in
Yes.
big black bags. So I think that's how my dad's was. I can't remember it,
Yes.
but he had a big bag that he would put in his truck because he delivered ice. And so he would go up to St. Louis and come down. So we needed a cell phone in order, like if something happened or things like that. And it cost, I think, a lot to make a phone call. Like you did it sparingly, like when you had an emergency or when you really needed to communicate to someone because the charges were a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally remember that.
Yep. I mean, cigarette lighters just in general are funny to even think about.
Yeah. Yep. Freshman in college. And that was right around the time. Like all my friends were getting them right around then too, Joel. Like right around then. I still had a landline in my dorm room and in my apartment that I lived in. So I did not get a cell phone until, like I said, 2002, 2003. And it was once I was done with college and I was working and I was driving around a lot and I was like, fine, I'll do this because it does feel safer. But can you imagine, like, I can't imagine not being able to call my teenager, like whenever I want, right?
I know.
Like,
we didn't have that. I mean, when I was growing up, I would be running around all over the place. And my parents, all the tracking devices that we have, like I'm able to just look and see where my husband and my daughter and, just
everyone
know
is
exactly where they're at. And so it's funny, the things that we used to have, or the lack of knowing. I mean, I remember even like phone calls, you get a busy signal. My daughter doesn't even know what a busy signal is. I actually introduced it to her. I can't remember what it was. And I was like, what is this sound? And she was like, I don't know. And I'm like, it's a busy signal. And so I'm having to explain to her what a busy signal is.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's so crazy, right?
It is. Well, Myra said she didn't get her first cell phone until 2005. So later than you.
Yeah, later than me. I think my older brother, Tim, was even later than you, Myra. We had to really like pull him into the 21st century.
And someone said they also had a big phone.
Yeah.
And then Kim said that she wasn't allowed to use it, only for emergencies. But it looked really cool, though.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Back then, you have a cell phone and a cigarette. Like, how cool were you?
Exactly. So someone said, I didn't have a cell phone till maybe 2001, but I have no funny stories like you guys started out with. Flip phone, so. Oh, man.
Yeah. I similarly, like, I remember the first time, I didn't have cable forever. Like so in a different way, I cut that cord super early. Like I cut the cord in 2006. Like I was just watching Netflix and like the DVDs, right? And like things and YouTube videos or things that I could find online. So when Oscar was like 2 or 3 and we were at a hotel together, a commercial came on, like he was watching a show and a commercial came on and he was like, something very weird happened to my show. The TV is broken. I don't understand what's going on. Like he'd never seen a commercial before. He was like, why did this just stop? And why, like, why is there someone else talking? And oh my God, now someone else. Like, he was just like, this is insane. Why do like it had to explain the whole thing. And it was totally a foreign concept.
I remember that because Riley always had the iPad. And so she would watch all of her shows and it didn't have commercials. So she would watch Mickey Mouse and she'd go from episode to episode and things like that. And then I remember switching to the TV and having her watch some things. And she was like, wait a minute, what are these things, these commercials? And I remember her like being confused, like, why can't you fast forward through it? Or why can't you skip it?
Yes. Why can't I pull up anything I want right now? Like,
exactly.
Like literally they would be like, no, put on Bluey. I want to watch Bluey or whatever it was, Yeah. And it was like, no. This is a channel. Like we just, Bluey is going to come on in 3 hours. But, and they were like, I want to watch it now. This doesn't make sense.
Ours was Dora. It was Sophia the First.
Yeah. That's just my most recent one, right? But it's a cute little thing.
Bluey's apparently the new thing. I've never seen it, but
Bluey should be the new thing. Joel knows Bluey. Bluey is the best. It's the best. It's got it models. I'm a big Bluey fan. It models great parenting, but realistic parenting. It models so many things and it's so entertaining. Like I watch it, the kids watch it. We all love Bluey. It's very entertaining. So I highly suggest Bluey.
That's awesome. Well, and Myra had added that Mr. Ed's phone was massive. So I have to say that I also laughed at the Sanchez's. So Myra, Carmen, they and their mom called my dad Mr. Ed. And so, because they call everybody Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. or whatever before their first name. So my dad was Mr. Ed. And so for the young kids that don't know, Mr. Ed was a horse, of course.
Right. Talking horse.
So, but Dad, he did have a very massive phone next to him as he delivered ice.
In a bag.
In a bag.
In a bag phone. In a bag.
Oh gosh.
Well, this was a fun shooting the shit today.
It was.
What else do you have going on?
I'm going up to the cabin this weekend and gonna have fun there. We're actually here's a funny thing. I was gonna get Riley out of school early for us to go,
today.
But because they're out of school as of today, and I was going to get her out of school and we were going to go up early and things like that because I took today off from work. And so then she was like, well, but I didn't get a minor, and a minor is basically getting in trouble. So I was good. I get to have a party. So I'm a part of like a party. And she's like, that's not happening. And then, until like when you were going to be getting me out of school. So I was like, okay, fine. I'm like, I'll pick you up a little bit later. So I was like, who would have thought you wouldn't want to get out of school? She goes, well, it's not really school. It's a party.
Right. And I earned it. And it's like one of the only fun things I get to do there. And now I have to leave before. Yeah, I totally get that, Riley, because it's like, so for once I don't have to sit in class.
Yep.
I'm going to a party. Pick me up after the party.
I hope it's as fun as she thinks it's going to be. So
I'm sure it will be. It'll be more fun than class, like, right?
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. Like,
And she's doing really well. So she's been taking Spanish and she's going to be going on a trip in 2025. She's going to be going to Europe, and Jay and I were going to go with her originally until we found out that we were going to be doing about 10 miles of walking each day. And I was like, yeah, no. Like, cause they're like on a sprint, like they're going from thing to thing to thing to thing. And I was like, nah, I want something a little bit more relaxing than that. So I was like, look, And she's concerned because she has a peanut allergy. That's why she wanted me to go. And I was like, look, you know what? I did some research, and Europe doesn't really even have any peanuts. They don't really do
Right.
much with peanuts over there. So you'll be
Yep.
fine. And so she's good. She's excited. She's going to go to London. Then they're going to go to Paris. Then they're going to go to Barcelona. Then they're going to go to Rome and Vatican City. And so
It's a
whirlwind.
whirlwind trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those trips, like I did a trip like that when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just to Spain, but it is go, 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 go. You know,
Yeah.
like you're usually on a bus or a train, and you're traveling to the next thing, and then you're doing whatever that is. It's awesome, and it's great for kids, I think, to have that exposure, even in
Mm-hmm.
little snippets like that, if they can afford it. What a wonderful luxury.
Yeah. They're giving us about 18 months to 2 years to plan for it. So to save up, they're also going to give a link and stuff like that. And so if you want to try to
help
fundraise or things like that. But we actually had already worked it out with Riley. So we wanted her to be consistent with something. And so we were like, okay, if you are consistent with maintaining your room, maintaining your bathroom, so, you get basically a check each day that if it's clean, you basically are earning money towards, because we wanted it to be, we are fortunate. And so, but we wanted to give her something that she has to be consistent with, and to sort of build up things that she's responsible for. So building up that responsibility aspect. I know it sounds probably small. I know the friends across the street are like, they have to do like the toilets and stuff like that. And Riley hasn't had to do as much as a lot of other kids, but it's just like trying to focus on things. And the dishes are the other thing. So she has to take care of the dishes consistently, and that it allows her money to be able to utilize. So,
well, yeah, I mean, doing the dishes every day is no joke.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's like an allowance. So I
it
think
is.
works out. I pay my deal with my parents. I think I had to pay for it all. So I saved up the money to go, and then I saved up my spending money. And then right before we went, my mom took me shopping and bought me a whole like wardrobe for it, which I was not expecting at all. And it was a great surprise. And of course, I hadn't even thought about the fact that like I would need clothes, or I've never been very into clothes to begin with, but, like that, like if you're going to go somewhere and be walking 10 miles a day, you have to wear like the right pants and the right shoes. And, my mom like helped with all of that and got me like, one of those things you wear underneath to have your passport and your money, that it's like literally underneath your clothes. So that you're always safe, because like she was worried about, me just being in a group of kids, like you can be kind of targeted sometimes, so she wanted everybody to be safe. But anyway, it was a great experience for me. It was a great, it taught me so much. I really believe that taught me like how to save money and to really shoot for something I wanted. And it was about 18 months. I remember like we had to prepare, for this huge thing. And it was awesome. So I'm super excited for Riley to experience it. And so she's going to remember doing all those dishes.
I know. And the other thing is that her and I love going to La Madeleine, which is a French place. And so she loves a croque monsieur. And so I told her, I said, when you are in Paris, ask for a croque monsieur. They're actually very much the same. Because I've had it whenever I was in Paris, and then I've had it here, and it's just so good. And so the other day, Jay was going to make me a grilled cheese, and I asked him, I said, do you know how to make a croque monsieur? I'm just curious. And he's like, no, I've never done that. And so by the time we got back from Ariel Silks, Jay had already gone to the store, picked up the cheese and the different types of things and was making it. And he ended up not doing it quite right, so I was like, oh, by the way, the ham's supposed to be in the middle and then that stuff's on the top. And he was like, oh, okay. And so, I was like, it's still going to be amazing, believe me. And so, but it was like sliding off. And so it was like trying to keep the ham and the cheese together, but it was still amazing. He's like, all right, get a fork.
Oh, I bet he does a great one because he does a fantastic Reuben.
Yes. Yeah, he did that here recently too for himself.
Yes. He and I enjoyed those Reubens in the cabin when that 2001. I still remember it.
That's right.
So I have a memory for food.
Yeah, so he has still the whatever the roux is to be able to make, and he went and got brioche bread and stuff like that.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I love it.
Kim said, way to go, Jay.
Good job, Santa.
Oh my gosh. And he made me French toast this morning. And so
you lucky duck.
Well, I do have to say, he was making up for how he sort of acted last night. He got a little bit tipsy, and Santa left Miss Santa Claus by herself. And so I let him know in the next morning. I was like, hey, I said, I'm gonna paint you a scenario and pretend that this is you and you're me. And so he's like, okay, I'm sorry. I was like, all right, so we have to think about that a little bit. So this morning it was funny. I was trying to mix, because we had the shuffle this morning and everything. So I was trying to get everything switched over and stuff like that. And then whenever I came there, he had French toast out for me. He's like, this is the only way I know how to apologize.
Perfect. That's his love language.
It is.
I love it. That's great.
Oh gosh.
Yummy. I've just thought, and I'm going to challenge everyone else, all of our viewers that do text with Sarah on any sort of regular basis. I challenge you to toss in a silly goose as often as you can. So it's going to be really great when Sarah's like, are you coming to the meeting? And I'll be like, of course I am, silly goose.
I might just start doing that with you, Kate. Hey, silly goose, are you joining?
Yeah, are you trying, silly goose? Do you have a moment to chat, silly goose?
Oh, I might just ask for you to snap me a photo.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so good.
Oh, wow. Well, we can always fill up an hour, Kate. And so we had no preparation of really knowing this is what we were going to talk about and things like this. And I quickly threw together the PowerPoint this morning, but it just shows you how nimble and flexible and adaptable we are.
Yes. And shit happens, Buzz certainly wanted to be here. And that's okay that he wasn't, but we'll have him in a future one. But yeah, you got to roll with it in life. It was remember the episode we were doing specifically on letting go of things beyond your control. Yeah. And I was in a hotel lobby and someone just started vacuuming directly behind me. We're like, here's an example.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I have that almost daily. I'm just like, and I can't remember, we had a lot going on a previous week. And I finally just said to the group, tell me something good. Tell me something positive, because it was one thing after another. It was dealing with, client expectations just back to back to back. And I was just drained. I was like, someone please tell me something positive.
Yep. Yeah. It's so, I love that when we have the time, we also try to end with fun things. A lot of times our culture is so, schedule driven, like, oh, I have a 1:00 and then I have a 2:00. And so, and totally understand that sometimes if you can be done with a call and have 10 minutes to spare, like that can make a huge difference. But I also love that, oftentimes we'll be like, okay, so anyone got anything funny to share? Or, like, and those that can stay on, just stay on and like, have a laugh. Cause it's like, I'm going into another meeting, and not that we don't, enjoy our meetings, but it is still great to toss these things in. So yesterday we were talking again about the texts because they were just too funny not to.
Well, and so often we put in dad jokes as well. Like it's our thing to do dad jokes on calls as well.
Yes, on our company meetings because they're quick and and the groan is so good. They're like, oh, it's like you're like, all right, I see.
They're like, that's funny, but it's also awful.
It's awful.
Oh my goodness. Well, Cate, I think we're going to go ahead and sign off for today. Let's see who else has come in. And so Myra said, thank you for the laughs this morning. Have a badass weekend. And I can't think of a better way to end it.
Yeah, that's a great sign off. Everyone listen to Myra, and we'll see you next Friday.
Awesome. Thank you, Cate.
Thank you, Sarah.